Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete, and podcast strategy coach. And man, we have a guest on today you're going to really enjoy because I always check out my guests. And when I did, I couldn't believe what I saw. So you're going to enjoy somebody that really gets the global strategy in our new world that we live in. So, Elinor, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into our podcast.
Okay, I'm obviously Elinor Stutz. My company, Smooth Sales, stands for Earning a Returning and Referring Clientele. I have a sales background. Sales is a natural talent, so I was always the top producer. Not because I knew how to sell officially, but because I made friends with everybody I met, no matter their title.
Mm-hmm.
And then years later, I became a sales trainer, a coach, an inspirational speaker. And today, because I'm an older woman, I started hiding behind my writing because nobody wanted to speak to me due to the discrimination that's still ongoing. And slowly but surely, people connected with my writing and things began to blossom. So I just like to add, because of all the negativity I experienced in my near-death experience, my motto became, our worst experiences can be our gifts in disguise when we're willing to learn from them.
Ooh, I love that. I have a lot of mentors, but one of them shared that sales and entrepreneurship is a journey of 1,000 pitches. Like, if you're not good at selling yourself, nobody's going to sell for you. So, what do you think in your journey? What made you so effective in that sales journey?
Okay, well, I have to tell you, I started at a time when I was the only sales female. And I was regarded as a stupid female, not worthy of training. It would be a waste of money. I think differently from most people. I thought, wow, I have a green light to do things my way. And it was in the old days of cold calling territories. So everybody outside the company who was smoking, I went over and said hello. I made friends with the receptionist. I brought candy on holidays. And slowly but surely, they began telling me who to contact. And then when I contacted the person, we shared stories. I learned that from Dale Carnegie, and we shared laughter. Finally, they said, you need to tell me what you're selling. This was my first job, and I knew nothing about what I was selling against Xerox, if you can believe it. And they said, wow, you're fantastic. Tell me how much it costs and I want to buy from you. And I was shocked.
Wow.
And that repeated itself throughout that first year. But my reward for being the top producer was to have my quota tripled for the following year and my hard-earned accounts given to the men. And that happened year after year.
Yeah, I didn't experience that, obviously, because I'm not a lady, but I grew up with two sisters, two daughters, six granddaughters, and all the dogs were female. So I've been around girls. So I appreciate them, and I was talking to a friend of mine just yesterday, and our leadership in our Rotary Club, which I'm involved in this community, is like a string of lady leaders. I mean, we have one guy in about 7 years, in the last 7 years, that it's all ladies. And we were talking about, like, so I said to her, like, what do you think it is? And she said, well, if you want to, if we have that ability to connect and build those relationships faster than you guys. And I said, yeah, I totally agree. We talk about sports and weather, and y'all are talking about a deeper, meaningful conversation, which we all should have, but it doesn't just come out there. We tend to hide behind the macho, whatever image you want to say. So tell me about what changed your mindset with your near-death experience that has helped you in your journey?
Well, I'll tell you, it put me on a better path for life. Two visions came to me. One, I was supposed to become an international speaker, which I wholeheartedly agreed to. These were in two visions while I was on the gurney. And
Mm-hmm.
then I saw a blink of a gold light, and a second vision appeared, and it showed my life report card. On the left-hand side, I had high life marks regarding my family, but on the right-hand side, it was completely blank, an embarrassment entitled Community Service. And in the
Mm.
moment, I promised to begin giving back to communities any way I might. So I saw another blink of a gold light. It's a very long story. It's remarkable what happened. I couldn't make any of it up. At any
Mm-hmm.
rate, after I recovered, that never left my mind. Today, my community work is the Smooth Sail blog, helping people with their careers and businesses to move forward. And I can't do it all by myself. And over time, I found good collaborators who provide
Mm-hmm.
content. And I share the content that I admire on LinkedIn to help people move forward. And that made all the difference.
Wow, I love that. What do you think? Like, let's for our viewers and for our community. I believe in just what you just shared, and it's good to know this early. When I was talking to my friend, and we talked about going through difficult times, and what she said is, you know what I found is when I served, when I took others and help them, I felt better. What do you think it is about serving that you've seen? I mean, that was her opinion. I agree with her. You're leaning into community, leaning into helping others. What can you share with our viewers what that has meant for your journey in your journey?
Yeah, it's based upon my awful experiences. I was never accepted for most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
and it made me stronger. And then I'll give you an example if that's okay.
Yes, I
We
love to.
moved from our hometown further north. I won't tell you where. And I was asked to introduce myself. I was actually already a very successful speaker and sales trainer for teams.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got up on stage to announce I was a sales trainer, the jeers were beyond comprehension. And I quickly got
Really?
off the stage. Someone took me aside and said, to establish credibility, you must write a book. So I had nothing to lose. My phone wasn't ringing. All those awful corporate stories came to mind, and I put them into a manuscript one after another. That manuscript broke records. The first publishing house said yes. It was published within a few months. Time
Mm-hmm.
magazine featured it. I was on ABC TV, and almost overnight it became an international bestseller. And my mission on that one was to teach people how to professionally speak up so that you don't hurt feelings or you're not fired on the spot, but you can
Mm-hmm.
make a case that's valid. And I did so by sharing all those stories and how I handled them. The title of the book is Nice Girls Do Get the Sale, Relationship Building That Gets Results. And
Mm.
during COVID, it became evergreen among the classics.
Ooh, that is so beautiful.
I never expected that. And that's all from listening to those jeers and doing something about it.
Hmm. Did you see any parallels in your journey from growing up as a young girl to what you were able to do now? Was there anything that shaped that mindset?
Yes, on the same theme. I was branded as fat, stupid, and ugly. I was surrounded by bullies. I couldn't make a single friend at school. And
Mm-hmm.
so my reflection in the mirror became my best friend at a very young age. And I'd
Mm-hmm.
weigh the pros and cons of everything that I heard to figure out the next best steps. I'd watch my facial expressions, my body language, hand gestures. I didn't even know that was sales training. I did it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became an active goal setter by sixth grade. So it
Hmm.
was all preparation for what was to come in my career. So again, that goes with the saying, our worst experiences are our gifts in disguise.
Yeah, that is. I love how you shared that, and I often will talk to people about goals, and they say this. I I don't want to be like stressful that I have to achieve these goals. What could you share? Because I believe in them. I look at them every day. I write them down. But I didn't always do that my whole life because I grew up dyslexic and ADD, and so I had a different mindset that I felt like the outsider. But share what goals since I mean at age 6, that's definitely a great thing. What has it done to help you get clear on where you wanted to go? Could you share with our community?
Yeah, well, in the business environment, it helped me clarify all the goals I wanted to achieve. And I do it because I was getting a new job every year, a yearly goal, and then work backwards, monthly, daily, weekly, daily. And I keep track of everything. Of course, sometimes things change and you have to revise it. And the other part of it is do it, test it, revise it, and
Hmm.
reset the goals because nothing ever works out 100% the first time around.
Yeah, you're so true about that. I always read successful people and just learn from them. And I remember what Jeff Bezos said. He rarely had more than 60% of what he needed to move forward. And it was always learning and growing and figuring it out. But so many of our perfectionists, they wait till they have pretty net 100% of whatever they're trying to do. So what do you do when you set that goal? I love how you say you always have to try things and adapt and change. Have you been doing that your whole life or was that an evolution of just learning?
No, I have ever since I can remember. And I'll tell you
Mhm.
another interesting point to not being accepted was
Mhm.
that by age 16, I started international travel and I never stopped. I visited 75 countries to this date.
Mm.
And I just love travel. I wanted to see how other cultures adapt, how they treat their people, and what I could learn from all the varied experiences.
What do you think? I have a real good friend, and says travel like this, chasing history. He likes to go to places and learn about how things, cultures and how things happen. What do you like most about traveling to 75 different countries?
I just love looking at the architecture, speaking with some of the people, looking at the environment, the landscape, and sometimes going to a music event or a play,
Mhm.
how they handle life differently. Even when I'm at home, we moved cross country where there's gorgeous growth compared to where I used to live. And
Mhm.
I just go out on the walking trails with my husband very often and sometimes by myself. Every time I'm out, I take photos of the natural landscape. What I want to tell you is the reason everybody called me different and stupid, I finally figured it out. I read WebMD newsletter, and recently they posted that people who are left handed and green eyed think differently, and that we only represent 2% of the global population.
Whoa.
And I said, aha, I finally have my answer.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'd heard like I have a lot of friends that are left-handed, and I heard they were 15% of the population, but I never heard the green eye part. So now
So
you really get
2%.
down. So I got to look in people's eyes when they're left-handed. I'm going to try to identify those 2%. So what do you think for my people out there that I do relationship podcast on Thursday? That's my Rotary Day. What would be the best what would be the best tip you could give about building those relationships?
Well, if you have an appointment, ask, what is it that caught your attention that you want to speak to me today? Get them to speak first. If you're at a networking event or any type of get together,
Mm-hmm.
ask what caught your interest to come today. What's your background? Learn about the other person, and then you know how to phrase what you have to say in a way that may catch their interest.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, I love, I guess because academically I didn't do very well. I flunked English in high school, two failed attempts at Virginia Tech. So academics was never my thing. So I love people. And so I love the curiosity of learning from people. So it was just kind of a natural to ask questions like you just shared with our community. And I find that sometimes I'll run into people and they'll give me a big blank stare, like I feel awkward, and I'm just saying, just ask a question, just whatever it is on your mind, just get me talking as opposed to just a blank stare. So what do you think when it comes to community? We all want to build community. We say we want to do. Your what would you want to share with our community about how you build community?
Okay, well, I'll have to tell you where I started. I
Mhm.
would, because of all the meanness that I grew up with, I was
Mhm.
very secretive and highly competitive.
Hmm.
Um, but when social media was announced, a marketing person offered to have me in her group to teach how to use it. And she said,
Mhm.
but you have to change one thing. I said, what's that? You have to stop the nonsense of competitiveness and become collaborative. That was the scariest thing I ever heard.
Mm.
But I
Mhm.
admired her and I took her words and I never looked back. And so over time, I expanded that to the point where I'm very active on LinkedIn today, and I see articles that meet my expectations or align with my values and priorities. I
Mhm.
repost those. And
Hmm.
the sharing is what made the difference.
Wow. Yeah, that no, I totally agree with you. The collaboration mindset is definitely all boats rise, and if you look to help people and collaborate with people, it's just a wonderful way to approach things. What would you say? Because before we went on the air, I was sharing with you, I always look people up and I see, and you have a lot of good information out there. Talk to my, when did you decide that, was it an intentional thing that you wanted to put yourself more on a global stage? Because most people don't really think, they think local and they don't realize that the world changed and now you can do business all over the world. When did you intentionally start doing something that helped people get to know you more on a global view?
I believe it was when my book was published and it was
Mhm.
translated into several languages.
Mhm.
And that was the differentiator for me. And I thought, wow, with social media, you've got the world at your hands, literally. And I started testing different sites over the
Mhm.
years to see which was the better audience. And for me, I've mentioned it twice now, I think LinkedIn is the one that works.
Mm.
And I've never looked back. In fact, I can't get over it with all the discrimination. I'm making friends with men from different parts of the world, and
Mm.
they're sharing my information. And of course, I reciprocate. One of the biggest factors, here's a hint of how to build your audience, is to reciprocate. Somebody likes your post, look at theirs and find one that you can like or share.
Mm. That is so good. So I noticed you have a goal to get to 100 countries. What would you say has been your favorite of the first 75 that you visited and that you could share with us?
The one that's my favorite also helped me get a job. It was in the very early years, my husband was with an airline and it didn't cost much to travel. So he said, let's
Mhm.
go the furthest points because we'll never be able to afford it otherwise. So we took a photographer safari in Africa, Kenya, and Tanzania. So it
Mm.
was out on the plains where we saw these gorgeous herds of animals running and the sunlight shining and their fur was shining. So a recruiter asked me, what animal would you be if you could be any? I said, oh, that's easy. It would be a giraffe because they run so gracefully. Their fur is
Mhm.
beautiful. And people always say that salespeople go after the low hanging fruit. But if I were a giraffe, I could get the highest fruit of the tree. And she said,
Ooh.
on the spot, you're hired.
Yay, I love that. Yeah, you do hear that. Go for the low-hanging fruit, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, there's a reason. What do they say? The last mile we of our journey is has the least amount of traffic or something to that effect, that meaning most people don't reach for the stars. They don't reach for the high things that because it's tough.
Yeah.
What would you say? When I take my grandkids to zoos, the giraffe is the most favorite of all that. They
Oh,
just love a giraffe because there's something really unique about just the way they carry themselves. I haven't seen a run fast. I mean, they run, but in the different zoos, what would you say of the 25? You're gonna get to that 100. I can Anybody that sets goals from 6 is gonna get to that 100. What are you looking forward to next year as far as visiting a country you haven't visited?
well, I have to admit, most of my visits, I've been to a few continents, but I've not been to Asia, and I would love to get there.
That is so good. So what would you say, Eleanor, when it comes? It's funny you said that LinkedIn was your favorite. My partner, who he's on LinkedIn, and he said he put a post out there as like he runs an AI agency, so he uses research is Chat GPT. His workspace is Google Workspace, and his relationship building is LinkedIn. So, I see the evolution of LinkedIn. What do you like about what LinkedIn is doing, and what could you share with our community about what has been the best tip you could give for somebody that has not experienced LinkedIn as a relationship
For
building
me, it's the
platform?
premier business platform. And somebody had to take numerous conversations to convince me, because truthfully, I'm cheap, to become a premier member. And I finally said, okay, I'll give it a test for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Voila, it was the differentiator because LinkedIn Premium offers suggestions daily, if not multiple times per day, on with whom to connect, whom to follow. And that made all the difference in the world. In fact, there's one organization that features my blogs now. And I'm stunned that that ever happened, and it made a huge difference for me.
Ooh, that is so good. I don't do any. I started out in social media years and years ago, and after my stroke, I don't do any social media, TV, sugar, alcohol. I cut out a lot of things to
We
repair
all
the
did.
brain. Yeah, yeah. And so I have not done any of the social. We will next year, but I'm really excited that you shared that because I don't know what the advantages of a pro LinkedIn
You don't know
membership.
until you do it. I
Yeah,
thought it would be a waste of money and was the exact
yeah.
opposite.
In that's good to know because you do have to look for the best ways to take your dollars to amplify them. So you want to know what works and what is just another way of upgrading you. What would you say? Like, how long have you been a premium member? And was it immediate or did it take 4, 5, 6 months for you to kind of have that aha moment?
Oh, I was on LinkedIn for a long time and people were trying to convince me. And I think I've been with it a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And instantly I saw the difference. And
Really?
I apologize to those people for taking so long.
That is so good. What do you think? We talked, I think, before. I don't remember if it was during the podcast, but I have two sisters, two daughters, and six granddaughters. So I'm around girls. Do you feel that over the last 5 years, things have changed? Because you always have that mechanics mindset. You go in, they see it's a woman, and they just throw, all kinds of stuff because they think you don't know what's under the hood and they take advantage. Do you feel that it's changed any in the last 4 or 5 years?
Could you tell me, do you mean online or in person when you go
Well, that is a good question. Maybe it's in person. Do you feel that we have changed in person, and then speak to online too? Because I think we have both worlds that we live in now.
Not so much in person. I'm still feeling discriminated.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm very sensitive, so you'll have to ask somebody else.
yeah,
I'm in tune to it. But
yeah.
online, the whole world opened up. I cannot believe I'm connecting with everybody used to call me stupid, so I assumed I was. I'm connected with people who have PhDs in all parts of the world online. I never expected
Mm.
that.
When you wrote that book, your book, what changed?
After I wrote it,
Mm-hmm.
credibility started to build.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was asked to speak at varying conferences. Les
Mm-hmm.
Brown helped me deliver an inspirational keynote that always got standing ovations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Slowly but surely, I was accepted more places, but not every place.
Mm-hmm.
As I had mentioned previously, moving cross country and being asked to go to conferences, people turned their backs on me because I'm an older woman. So
Mm-hmm.
that part did not change. However, online, hiding behind my writing, I became known globally.
Hmm. Did you feel growing up, did you have that skill of writing, or was that developed over time?
Everybody told me my writing was horrible, except
Mm-hmm.
one teacher. I could never answer true or false because I was accustomed to weighing the pros and cons, and I told her the answers, the questions weren't satisfying because the pros and cons to every single one question for true and false. So she said, okay, do me a favor, just write essays. And she said she loved my writing. However,
Hmm.
when I wrote Nice Girls Do Get the Sale, my so called friends said it was a stupid book. I had no business writing it and that they were going to toss it away.
Whoa.
Those were my friends.
Yeah.
You get the idea, right?
Yeah. Well, they always say that, like, our friends don't want us to get hurt, so they say things that the others wouldn't say. So you got to be careful with how you receive that information. What as we're at toward the end of this year, what are you most excited about next year?
Oh, well, that company, it's BizCat 360, BizCatalyst 360. They
Mm-hmm.
feature my work. They're hosting a conference in Florida in February. There are a couple seats left. It's in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to sign up as soon as it was announced to meet the people who treated me so royally. I
Mm-hmm.
still cannot get over it. And I just have to meet them in person and thank them.
Wow. That is so good. So when I always say, find out what you love to do and you'll never work again. But when you're not doing what you do to build your business, what do you like to do to have fun?
Well, we're in an over 55 community. I'm giving it away. And we met some really nice, interesting people, and there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of community activities. So we do a lot of that. We
Mm-hmm.
obviously go out to dinner occasionally with some of our friends, and we play a lot of games. And
Hmm.
that's fun. And I do Sudoku. My husband introduced me to it. I love the tough puzzles.
Yes. So what's your favorite game that you like to play?
Um, well, the one that's most popular is Mexican Train.
Yeah.
I I used to do a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, but my favorite. You asked the favorite. Do it online now. Hearts. Have you ever played that card game?
I've played the card game. Yes. Oh,
I
yeah.
love it. It gets you to thinking and it challenges me. And TV truthfully puts me to sleep. So
Yeah.
after 2 shows, I say to my husband, I've got to play Hearts to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I learned at Shepherd how to play Kings in a Corner, and I play it with my grandkids. And
Nice.
it's fast pace, but it does get you to think a little bit because you have to just the way nature of it. And I think you're right when we can think, because today I like to share, like, we have consumption and we have creating, and we're pulled in that consumption model by comparing, like, TikTok videos and TV, where you're just consuming media. I think we're born to create. So whatever you're doing, creating a game, creating a book, creating content, creating whatever, is like it energizes it. What energizes you the most when you're creating? Is there activities you love to do? Is it blogging or is it something else?
Yeah, it's blogging, but when I'm blank for a new idea, I go outside and look at nature. And
Mm.
we're in an area, I love deer. I think they're gorgeous. I always snap photos of them.
Mhm.
Beautiful tortoises. I mean, it's an area like which I've never been in before.
Mhm.
And even the trees, they're different colors in the spring and fall. That opens up my mind and
Mm.
ideas come to me and then I start writing again.
Yeah, I love it. I go out on the porch when it's not too cold, and I write in my journal, and it just kind of gets those thoughts going and just the creativity. Do you do journaling any, or has that been part of your writing habit?
No, when ideas come to me, I'll write them down because I'll forget.
Mhm.
And then I was mentioning the organization BizCat 360. There's
Mhm.
somebody on there who has a PhD in another country, and he is so philosophical. I've never seen writing like his before. And that also stimulates ideas. And I asked his permission if I take his idea, something from his idea to create a new post, if I mention him in mine. And he said, sure. And that also opened up the doors for more attention to what I put out.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I want to be respectful of your time. So, and it's Saturday, so I know you have some things to do. So, is there anything I didn't ask you that you would want to share with our community that you can think of?
No, would it be inappropriate to show the photo of my book that's doing so?
No, I think we love authors, so
Uh,
definitely
I
show it.
have two.
Okay.
Nice Girls Do Get the Sale. Relationship Building That Gets Results is the international bestseller and
Hmm.
has a big global reach. And then, because of all the nastiness in corporate, I wrote my stories about how to get hired by making friends with people at the company. And that's
Mm.
done very well too.
Wow,
So,
that's
at any rate, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. I could
yeah.
go on and on talking with you.
Oh, I know. I could too. I really enjoy, when I just searched you and I saw so much good content, I went, wow, this is going to be fun. And it has, because, we see a lot of displacement now. So you got to learn how to get hired,
Mhm.
and you got to learn how to set goals. And if you're not out there, I think LinkedIn, a lot of our community will look at it a little differently, because you got to invest in yourself. So a lot of times we think, the free's fine, but you've given us a different perspective of you know spending money where you can get results. So thank you much for sharing that with our community. So, Eleanor, what would you say would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
I became philosophical over time, and my one quote that I would like them to seriously consider is, we only have one life to live, and our duty is to live it without regret.
Ooh, I love that one. I love that one. So, Eleanor, thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights and your story with our community. We really appreciate you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.